Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about making these paper mache turkey legs. It is Thanksgiving season, so let's make some paper mache turkey legs. First things first, grab some packing paper you might have from a delivery package, slice off some sections, and then you can peel those. What makes this really good as opposed to newspaper is it is already the color you need it to be, as well as you won't have to worry about painting over the text on the newspaper. Then I'm going to use a couple sheets of tin foil and paper. So the paper is going to be the center, and then we're going to shape the tin foil around that balled up paper and create the drumsticks for these turkey legs. Depending what size you want to make them, you might want to use more tin foil or more paper on the interior, but for our purposes here, a piece of paper and 3 pieces of tin foil were great to shape these turkey legs. As you can see, this is pretty quick and pretty simple, just shaping those with the tin foil and using your hands to mold them into those drumsticks. Think of them as big chicken wings in all reality, because that's what they are. Now that you have those turkey legs shaped, now we're going to make our mixture for the paper mache. Now you can buy plaster and various mixtures from a craft shop, but you can also just use flour and water, so things you might have around your house. And that's the amazing thing about this setup is these turkey legs you will likely be able to make with things you already have. So a couple cups of flour will need a few cups of water. Now you want to mix those until the mixture is thin. If it's too thick and gloopy, it's not going to quite set correctly. So make sure you have enough water to thin it out and you have a nice, good paper mache solution. At that point, you can start dipping the pieces of your paper in the solution and applying them to the tin foil. Now you don't want them too wet, but if they are more damp, you can apply dry pieces on top of the damp pieces and it will all soak in. Make sure to wrap the paper around the tin foil so that way it kind of locks on itself and that way it will all adhere and hold together nicely. And as I said, you can use some of those dry pieces as well to absorb some of the liquid. If you want to, you can dip your fingers and also rub some of the solution on there that way. Another method is actually straining each piece. So after you dunk it, run it through your fingers to get the excess liquid off of it. Continue on wrapping pieces around until you have it properly layered. You're going to want at least 2 to 3 layers of paper, if not more, to get the shape just right. As you wrap the pieces, you can continue to use dry pieces on the wet pieces, covering all your seams and making sure all the corners and edges are smoothed out. To get all of the round edges covered, you might have to layer them crisscross. So you might have to layer one over the other in a diagonal fashion and then smooth out the edges. You don't want too many of the paper flaps coming up and off of the turkey leg. Then you can layer more pieces, wrapping them around to cover any of those seams and flaps. Eventually, once you work this over and apply more layers, you will see how you can hide all of those seams and edges. Take a final look. Some of these edges you might need to reapply or stick over top, or just rework it and smooth it out, as I said earlier. Now you can go on and apply this to the other turkey legs. Because turkey legs do have tendons and sinew and skin and cartilage and bone, having some of these awkward shapes is not a problem because when you paint it at the end, it will all look very natural. So decide how much layering and wrapping you want to do, and then you can continue on to the next turkey leg and reapply the same idea. The process of actually wrapping and making these doesn't take that long. What's really going to take some extra time is waiting for all of this to dry. Now, if you have a space heater, you could apply that and put it in front of the space heater so they dry faster. If not, it might take overnight or an entire day for these to properly dry out. Now you have these formed into turkey legs. Give them one last look over before you clean up all of your paper mache mess, and then you can let them dry so you can continue on to painting. Make sure to keep your workspace clean and tidy so you don't have any other issues and you don't get stuff and paper mache juice all over everything. Now that they are dry, you can see they already somewhat have that look of a turkey leg. But now it's time to apply some paint and really bring these props to life. So we have various color tones of brown and yellow and black. So we're gonna apply this brown over top. Now you just want to dry brush this on, because if some of that paper is showing through, it will just add contrast because of course it's already brown. So you'll have a little lighter tone coming through that darker tone, which is great. It'll give it contrast. To make good use of your time, you can hold the turkey leg by the end and paint most of it. Then continue to the next one, again, painting most of it. And by the time you get to the third one and finish it, the other end should be dry enough that you could handle it by the main part of the turkey leg and finish off all of the stems. This is a good way of continuing through the paint job without trying to paint the entire single turkey leg one at a time. Once you've laid out your main color on all of the turkey legs, then you can start detailing. So by using both yellow, red, dark brown, and a little black, you can really bring those turkey legs to life. So the red is going to help give it that saucy barbecue look. The yellow will give it some nice contrast as far as the crispy skin. And then also the dark brown will help give it that charred look. And then black will even further that effect by making it look like grill marks, burn marks, and a little bit of char on that turkey leg. Now, of course, thinking about how turkey legs will cook on a grill, the end, the tips, and some of those edges are really going to have some of that black char effect. So make sure you give them those grill marks and they'll really come to life and look like a grilled and sauced turkey leg. When making anything out of paper mache and painting it, you really want to think of the realism as well as the functionality of the real item that you're trying to recreate. So a turkey leg, of course, is usually cooked or baked and then grilled, and you have all that sauce and grease as well. So having some of the layering of that, just the plain brown, doesn't do enough. So adding some of that red for the sauce, some of the yellow for some of the sinew and skin, and then of course the black to add that char effect from the grill, all adds dimension as well as realism to these props. Now, if you're going to use them in a stage production or in just a layout, they'll look just right, especially because people won't be scrutinizing these up close. In a theatrical play on stage from 10 to 15 feet away, these will look like perfectly real, amazing turkey legs. All in all, these should only take about 20 minutes to put together, as well as about 20 minutes to paint. A lot of the time is going to come from drying them in between the two phases. So make sure they dry okay, and then you can paint them. And there you have it. Let the paint dry and your turkey legs should be done. I hope this was helpful on your paper mache journey to make your own props for your own show or Thanksgiving setup. Stay tuned for more tips on DIY as well as other theatrical scenery that you can make at home. We'll see you on the next one.